125cc heat being led by Frederick Vial, the local man, but the interloper from the United States. The Americans, of course, have dominated this event throughout its decade of history. It's now going into its second period of 10 years, but Hughes is inexorably closing on the local hero. It's Ryan Hughes on the Kawasaki. He's cool and calm and collected. He's had a lot of serious injuries during his career. In fact, I don't think he's ever even managed to run a full season uninterrupted, but Ryan Hughes looks perfectly fit to me now as he goes under the Filichet Bridge in chase of Vial. The two Kawasaki's in line astern. Just look at the determination of the Frenchman, but it looks already as if he might be beginning to tire. The talented young Frenchman is having his moment of glory at the moment. Vial it is that leads. Hughes in second place, Ryan Hughes. And he's shadowing the Frenchman now. He's got him in his sights. He'll be trying to line him up, choose his moment to go past, but he's right on his tail now. Over the finish line to begin another lap. And the bad news for Frederick Vial is that Ryan Hughes is breathing right down his neck under the bleachers. And Hughes lines him up. He goes the long way around the outside. That's a good line that Vial has got around that corner into the stadium again. Rocketing high into the air. Oh, and up on the inside goes Hughes, but he doesn't make it this time. It's still the Frenchman that leads, the American in hot pursuit. Just look at that. Superb stuff. He's trying everything he can to get through. It's Lawrence in third place. Chiodi is fourth. Decker in fifth. But all eyes now are on the battle for the lead between the Frenchman and the American, between Vial on his Kawasaki, Ryan Hughes on his bike. Vial takes a long look over his left shoulder, but round the right-hand side comes the American, and the American goes through to take the lead. A mistake there from Viali. The Frenchman feels the pressure. Vial feels the pressure of the American closing in on him. He makes a mistake, and that's all that the American needs. Ryan Hughes in the lead now. Now, can the Frenchman fight back? The American looks so cool over those strength-sapping woods, and a mistake there by the looks of it from number 8, Alessio Chiodi. And back comes Vial side by side again now. Over that series of small jumps, but it's still Hughes leading. Vial in second place. Well, what a brilliant start to the 1993 Bercy Supercross here in Paris. The floodlights of this magnificent stadium must be almost blinding as they rocket back into the auditorium itself. A massive crowd, as always here at Bercy, are witnessing a Franco-American battle between Ryan Hughes, the Mr. Nice Guy of the Supercross circuit, and Frederick Vial, the homespun hero who set his sights on a win here if he possibly can. 3 laps to the checkered flag, 7 laps gone. Well, Vial held his own for a long time before that error was forced on him by the relentless pursuit of Ryan Hughes. Oh, and Hughes very, very slow, almost to a stop there around that corner. He's got a completely different line to the Frenchman. Back in the stadium. And there's a good scrap going on there down the field as well, while we've been concentrating on the battle for first and second places. Third, fourth and fifth are slugging it out. To Michael Pichon the 17-year-old Frenchman. He's following Chiodi and a 32 Craig Decker in his first international Supercross event. He's obviously raced Supercross in the States, but this is his first time overseas. And Vial has a big problem now. He's dropped down the field. He's got a problem with the visibility as well, but that wasn't what dropped him down. Vial, well, disappointment for the local hero. Got definite problems. He will try his best to press on. But no mistakes now. That is the priority on his last lap as Ryan Hughes heads towards what might be and what is sure to be a superb victory here in Paris. Ryan Hughes and the Kawasaki. Well, after that pile-up on the first corner, which took out quite a few riders, he shadowed the race leader, Vial. He seized his moment when he forced Vial into an error. In second place now, it's Alessio Chiodi, and a sign to his legion of fans. They're still cheering on the French, but Vial, unfortunately, down the field. But a victory for the American. Ryan Hughes wins the first event of the Bercy Supercross 1993. And a brilliant victory it was too. Bided his time, shadowed the early race leader, but eventually enforced Frédéric Vial into an error. Vial finishes down in fourth place. There's that first corner incident there. And the man that went down was the World 125 champion. Superb action here. Are we going to see the moment that... not quite this time. I thought we were going to see the moment that the lead changed. This, we're looking at the moment, Michael Pichon. But you see the bone-jarring impact that this incredibly and typically difficult technical circuit here has on these machines. They're the state-of-the-art. Victory for the first time in Paris to Ryan Hughes. In second place, Pichon. I beg your pardon. In second place, Chiodi. Then it's Craig Decker. Pichon in fourth position. And poor old Fred Vial, well, he led the race for so long until he was forced into that error by the eventual leader. But he has to settle for fifth position. The way this works is that they're awarded points on the old Grand Prix scoring system, 20, 17, 15 and so forth. For the two races, the top 5-point scorers at the end of those two races go through automatically. The repechage for the rest. We'll be back in just a few moments' time with the first of the 250cc heats here from Paris, Bercy. Join us then for some great Supercross action. Welcome back to Paris Bercy Stadium for the first 250cc heat of the 1993 Supercross event. And the man you're looking at is the man who's very much the favourite for overall honours here in Paris. Jeremy McGrath, wearing the #1 vest, 21 years of age, the US Supercross champion and Rookie of the Year, the first man ever to have achieved that feat. 5, Jeff Stanton, Stefan Everts from Belgium, Larry Ward, and the rest of the field. Watch out for Matasevic as well, and Greg Albertine, the 250cc world champion in 1992 and 1993. 11, Stefan Everts. Big things expected of Stefan, but he'll have to fare a lot better than the reigning world champion did in the 125cc first heat. He only got as far as the first corner. Well, Stefan will be hoping for better than that. World champion in 1991. That is not Stefan Everts at all. That is Fred Bolly you were looking at for a moment there. 27 is Christian Chaumard aboard his Husqvarna. The second row of the grid, 9 Larry Ward, 7 Guy Cooper. That's Fred Bolly, sporting number 17 here aboard his Yamaha. You see the tractor in the background just going backwards and forwards to make the necessary repairs to the track. Tense concentration in these final seconds before that gate drops, and 10 laps of two-wheel fury are unleashed upon the earth that's been specially shipped in truckloads here to the Bercy Stadium. Gentlemen, start your motors. Engines are started. Greg Albertine, number 3, watch out for. Watch out, 2 for Jeff Stanton, Larry Ward. And who will be the first of the Europeans? Because I think it's very much a question that you have to ask, because the Americans are definitely the dominant force in this sport. None of the Europeans, apart from Jean-Michel Bayle, who's now retired and gone road racing, of course, have really done anything in this event to compare with the feats of the Americans. The Americans have absolutely dominated. Power of these single-cylinder 250s are transmitted to the track by those special Supercross tyres. The sport, of course, much bigger in the States than it is in Europe, but here in Paris, it's pretty big too. This is undoubtedly the biggest event in the European calendar. The gate drops, they blast towards the first corner now. McGrath normally gets the whole shot, but this time it's Larry Ward that goes into the first corner first. Larry Ward leads, McGrath in second place. Oh, and a disastrous moment there for 3 Greg Albertine. He got it all wrong over that jump, shot across the track in mid-air. But Greg Albertine, the South African 250cc world champion, stayed on the bike and stayed in the race. 9 Larry Ward. For Yamaha, it is that leads. Jeremy McGrath in second place for the United States. Larry Ward, talented but unpredictable, is how they categorize the young American. A superb rider, as is Jeremy McGrath, the man that has set the Supercross world alight in 1993. 5, Jeff Stanton in hot pursuit as well. Behind Stanton, 23, Ronnie Tickner. Behind Tickner, 3 is Albertine. But this is the race leader, Larry Ward on the Yamaha. 1, Jeremy McGrath for Honda. 5 is Jeff Stanton. 21 is Jeff Matesevic. I think I might have got him mixed up with Christian Chaumard earlier on. That's definitely Matesevic. But it's still Larry Ward that leads from McGrath. Ward out front. That's confirmation of the top 6. Stefan Everts, number 6, on the number 11 bike. Just 2 non-Americans in that top 6. 10 laps the race distance. It's still Ward from McGrath. Stanton. Stanton, of course, lost his coveted #1 plate to the Rookie of the Year, Jeremy McGrath, the man who's his teammate in the US Honda team. But it's Larry Ward who's giving best to both of them at the moment. Larry Ward leads. Sweeps and swoops of this circuit. Just look at that double jump, over the double jump, and then braking hard for that U-turn. As always, the Bercy Stadium packed almost to capacity. Stanton on the #5 bike. Dominated here last year when he won 2 out of the 3 evenings entertainment. Sport, call it whatever you want. Motorsport, I suppose. But a Supercross maestro he certainly is. He knows there's a long way to go yet. But McGrath has the psychological advantage of knowing he's taken that #1 plate away from his teammate. However, they're still both behind 9 Larry Ward, but McGrath is moving up on Ward's tail. He's mounting an attack now. He's almost side by side with his Yamaha-mounted rival, but it's the Honda man that's second. It's still Larry Ward in the lead. McGrath in second place. McGrath goes up the outside. He goes the long way around the outside of that berm. But it's still Larry Ward, McGrath and Stanton. That's the 1, 2, 3. The Yamaha of Larry Ward leads the Honda pairing of Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Stanton. But you get the feeling that Ward is coming under intense pressure from the new American Supercross champion, the new #1 plate holder, 21-year-old Jeremy McGrath. And a terrific scrap this is, because Stanton's coming up to join them now. It's going to be a 3-way fight any moment. And Stanton almost lost it there for a moment. It's still Ward from McGrath and Stanton. Batesevic is 4th. And through on the inside goes the American champion, and the 2 Hondas go through. The 2 Honda men ganging up then on their Yamaha rival. They both go through. It's McGrath leading, Stanton in second place, Ward relegated to 3rd. And a brilliant manoeuvre that was too. Well, Larry Ward, in the space of just a couple of corners, saw himself relegated from the race lead to 3rd place. Well, it's a tough old game. Supercross, so much can happen in just such a short space of time, such a short distance. It's McGrath that leads. His Honda teammate Stanton in second place. The Yamaha of Larry Ward is 3rd. Batesevic a long way behind. Ward, I suppose, still in with a chance of getting back on terms with the 2 Honda riders. Stanton there for a moment, just got a bit bogged down in that left-handed corner under the seating area of the stadium, and then out into the bright lights. Over the tabletop jump, over the double, around the berm, over the whoops. And Stanton is right alongside his teammate now. It's a strength-sapping, bone-jarring sport. These young men have to be so super fit in order to cope with the pounding that their bodies take. The machines have to be set up absolutely perfectly in order to cope with the rigours dished out by the track designers, who try their fiendish best to make things difficult for the riders and the machines alike. Stanton in second place. McGrath, though, leading. There you are, 26.19 seconds. The time for his 8th lap. It's McGrath with the #1 plate that leads. Stanton, number 5, in second place, and has Stanton settled for second place as they come up to lap 27. That's one of the French riders, Christian Chaumard. Chaumard almost getting away for a second there, but the two Honda riders going through back into the stadium for one more time. Superb overhead camera view of the last lap, and Stanton's trying again. Stanton's giving it all he's got to try and get back on terms with the race leader. Larry Ward now some way back in third place, the man that led this race for so long, but it took its toll. It took it out of him. Still the two Honda men, McGrath from Stanton. Can anybody get ahead of McGrath? Stanton, the rear end of his Honda just kicking out sideways there. A wave to the crowd from the race leader, Jeremy McGrath, as he heads towards his first Paris-Bercy Supercross victory. Larry Ward's going to come home in third place. Matesevic is still fourth, and Fred Bolley, the first of the non-Americans. But it's a Honda 1-2. The two American teammates make their way back to the paddock after 10 close-fought laps. That's Fred Bolley finishing in 5th position. Well, another brilliant race, a brilliant first 250cc heat. And this is how it was won. A foot off the footrest as he flies high in the air. There's a fall of 15 is Jan Guedar. There was a lot of high hopes that he would do well here. Just look at that. Is there a more spectacular sight in motocross, or in motor racing, I should say? Greg Albertine, and in slow motion as one of the Kawasaki riders piles it in the background. In slow motion you can just see the pounding that both riders and machines receive. Oh, and there is a stomach churning crash. That's Guy Cooper from the States. Jeff Matesevic, 21. It's like a small ship in a choppy, heavy sea. That's the style of Jeremy McGrath. Superb all-action entertainment here in the Paris-Bercy Stadium. Showtime, it says on the back of the motocross pants of Jeremy McGrath. Well, he certainly proved himself to be the master showman. #1.
Les meilleurs pilotes ici à Bercy, les meilleurs pilotes du monde. Il est évident qu'on fait aussi venir les meilleurs Américains et que, en tout cas dans cette manche, ce sont eux qui ont
These state-of-the-art machines, specially built for Supercross. Just look at the diameter of those chunky front forks there to soak up the punishment of this Bercy specially built track. So the 1, 2, 3, Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Stanton, and Larry Ward.
Alors mon cher Jeff, ça a été une course relativement difficile. It has been quite a hard race.
Yeah, it was. It's just one of the many races, so no sense burning ourselves out and getting tired right away. So most important race is at the end.
Oui, effectivement, c'était une course difficile. Ceci dit, ce n'est qu'une des courses de la soirée et ce n'est pas la plus importante. La plus importante, ce sera bien sûr la super finale. Donc, pour le moment, le plus important de tout ça, c'est d'arriver en pleine forme pour la dernière course.
Le circuit, qu'est-ce qu'il en pense? What do you think of the track? Does it fit you?
Yeah, the track is very good. It's much tighter this year than last year, but it seems to be good. They're working very hard and trying to make it the best possible for all the spectators.
Oui, le circuit il est bon, il me plaît bien, il me semble un petit peu plus serré que l'année dernière, mais ceci dit, je pense qu'au niveau du spectacle, c'est très très bon pour les spectateurs.
Quelle est la partie du circuit que vous préférez? What's the part of the track you prefer?
I like the whole thing. There's no specific part that I like this year. Usually I like the whoops much better, but there's not so many whoops this year, so the whole track suits me fine.
Non, tout me plaît bien sur ce circuit. Il n'y a aucun endroit particulier que je préfère.
Well, that's the view of
personnel, je préfère
Jeff Stanton, the runner-up in that race. But as he said, there's a long way to go yet before anybody can claim the ultimate prize here at the Paris-Bercy Supercross. We'll be back with more 125 and 250cc action right after this break, leading up to the grand final.
Larry Ward qui a eu un bon départ et une fin de course un petit peu plus difficile. You had a very good start and it was a little more...
Welcome back to the Bercy Supercross for the second 125cc heat. The results, remember, added together to decide upon the finalists from the 125cc category. Then they'll all go into the super final with the 250cc runners. And that's the lineup for this second 125cc heat. Remember, the winner of the first race, Ryan Hughes, he'll be going all out for the double to score those maximum 40 points towards his place in the final. Beg your pardon, a bit of a frog in the throat there. Ryan Hughes is the man to watch, undoubtedly, in the 125cc category. An absolutely superb rider. Though it has to be said that many of the team managers in America have found him to be a bit of a handful. Pedro Tractor, well, he'll be definitely hoping for a better start in race 2 than he had in race 1 when he was involved in that big pile-up as they went into the first corner. Just got one of those whoops, as they call the smaller undulations. Just got it wrong, flicked him sideways, and that was the end of the line for him. The race over almost before it had started. Well, not much doubt about who they're supporting in the 250cc class. Jeremy McGrath hasn't let them down so far. Can he score a maximum?
Alors, Jean-Louis, juste un petit mot. Je viens d'avoir notre service médical, et Richard en particulier, qui est le médecin en chef, qui nous confirme que Benny Antunes a été contusionné. Le terme médical,
a few broken spokes to me, but
effectivement, parce qu'il a dû avoir une cheville triturée dans tous les sens.
Guess, really.
Ceci dit, il n'est a priori pas victime de fracture, pas victime d'entorse important. Donc il a également le
there's a paint job and a half, if ever I saw one.
Ce qui devait être dit maintenant.
Absolutely superb. Pedro Tractor, a little more subdued in his choice of headgear. Michael Pichon.
L'important, c'est qu'un garçon aussi courageux que Benny Antunes puisse revenir parmi nous. Il est évident.
And the rest of the lineup. They all look so calm. That's Pichon from France, just 17 years of age. 5th in the World 125cc Championship this year.
Il sera le tout dernier à prendre les départs. We are waiting for Buddy, okay, about 3 minutes more. is coming back for a new start.
We haven't seen too much of Robbie Reynard. I'm just checking that he's actually down in the... Yes, indeed, he was 8th in that first race. Robbie Reynard, a 16-year-old American wonder kid who has a huge future ahead of him. But he's more in the outdoor motocross stakes, really. Plenty coming to the line. Buddy Antunes. Or Antunes, probably, since he's from the United States rather than France. Well, I don't know what the delay was for Buddy Antunes. But he's on the start line now. They've waited for him. He takes his place at the start gate. And once again, it's showtime. Another 10 laps of this grueling, strength-sapping circuit. Thousands of tons of earth have been shipped in to mould and sculpt and bulldoze this track into existence. And after the weekend's over, well, it'll all be gone. If you're wondering what those yellow boxes are strapped to the front mudguard of these machines, that's the transponder for the electronic timing system. You just see it there on the front mudguard. It's not as many people have suggested a method of keeping the front wheel down, because that's the last thing that these men want to do around this circuit. Now, who is going to get the whole shot? Who's going to be first into that first corner when the gate goes down? Less than 5 seconds away, they're creeping forward. And it's a brilliant start from number 22, the first race winner, Ryan Hughes. It is that gets away first. And a good start too from Alessio Chiodi. The lone Italian too, Michael Pichon, gets a much better start as well this time around. But it's an absolutely brilliant getaway. The whole shot man is Ryan Hughes. It's Ryan Hughes and Kawasaki that leads the way as they skirt round the rear of the start gate for the first time. It's Hughes out front, Pichon in second place on the number 2 bike. Then it's 14th, Frederic Vial, the man that led that first heat for much of its distance. Vial followed by Chiodi from Italy aboard his Honda. But the race leader is Ryan Hughes. And it looks like Hughes has hit form at exactly the right time. Oh, and there's a coming together there around that left-hander. Pichon and Hughes clashed there. A bail is dislodged by Ryan Hughes right into the path of Michael Pichon. But he manages to skirt round it. But all that shenanigans has allowed Frederic Vial to close up on the leading duo. Well, drama in the early stages of this race. It's Hughes from Pichon. Vial in third spot on his Kawasaki, but Pichon, the Honda man, in the Kawasaki sandwich at the moment. Hughes out front. Pichon in second place, and guess who's getting the cheers and the encouragement of this Paris crowd? The local man. Pichon it is on the number 2 bike that's being urged on. Vial in the third spot. Michael Pichon, just 17 years of age, remember. An absolute sensation, 5th in the World Championship this year. He's aiming to follow in the footsteps of his motocross hero, Jean-Michel Bayle. Second at the moment. Oh, in a nasty moment there. A bit of dramatic body swerve. Got him out of it. 22, Ryan Hughes, followed by number 2, Michael Pichon. Freddy Vial in 3rd spot. It's the Kawasaki man that leads. The Honda in 2nd place. Can Pichon get close enough? Indeed, he can get close enough. He closed in then. Decker, Chiodi, and Betis making up the top 6. Craig Decker. This the battle for 1st and 2nd places between Ryan Hughes and Michael Pichon. Pichon involved, if I'm not mistaken. No, in fact, he wasn't involved, beg your pardon. Pichon 4th in the first race, and a big dab there. You saw the foot go out to steady himself. Sometimes that can be a disastrous tactic, but it seems to have worked this time round. Hughes from Pichon, Kawasaki from Honda, USA from France. Further down the field, Cyril Porte and Buddy Antonez scrapping it out down the field. Now Hughes is beginning to open up a lead over the pursuing Frenchman. But it looks like there's plenty of action going on behind the race leaders. Can Ryan Hughes make it 2 in a row? He's got to keep his concentration, but he doesn't want to tire himself out too greatly. He wants to leave plenty of time for that final. 2 minutes 35. Is the time for... I'm not sure whether it's time for 6 laps or the time on the 6th lap. Hughes it is out front. And out front by a healthy margin now to Pichon, trying everything he knows to get on terms with the much more experienced American. Pichon has the arrogance of youth in his favor. He's not afraid of anybody. The race leader, Pichon, in 2nd, and Pichon's getting closer again. He's fighting back. He knows that 2nd is good enough, but all these men want to win. Second, not a word that's in their vocabulary. There's just winning and losing. 3 laps to go. It's still Hughes from Pichon. Coming up to lap some slow rider, that's Cyril Porte. And it's a close battle again, and up comes Pichon to the rear wheel of Ryan Hughes, but he couldn't capitalise on that. Hughes just looked to be toying with him, really. He let him get onto the back wheel, and then all of a sudden pulled it out again. Pulled out all the stops, and all of a sudden there was a 20-metre gap, almost from nowhere. Hughes it is that leads for the United States. Pichon in 2nd spot for La France. Pichon, an exciting rider, again closing up with 2 laps to go. But again, Hughes proving that he's the master of the situation. It's still Hughes out front. Pichon in second spot. And they're way ahead of the rest of the opposition now, the whole length of that back straight. .52 seconds. Separating first and second. Still Hughes that leads, Pichon in second spot, and nothing that Pichon can do seems to be able to get him on terms with the runaway American. And Hughes on absolutely superb form. The 17-year-old Frenchman, though, definitely a name to look out for in the future under the stadium. Twisting left and then turning right, leaping right into the stadium again. Once more, the signal, number 1 from number 22. And both feet off the footrests. A typically ebullient American gesture of victory. Hughes wins it, Pichon second. Vial on the number 14 bike takes third spot ahead of Craig Decker. Number 18, Phil Lawrence, takes fifth spot. So the rundown, Hughes, Pichon, Vial, Decker and Lawrence. So the finalists will be Hughes and Pichon, Decker, Vial and Chiodi, who finished 7th in that race. They're the men that will go through to the final. There'll be a fight out for the repechage places. We'll be back with more action in just a second.
Eurosport.
Welcome back to Bercy in Paris for the second 250cc heat. The winner emphatically Jeremy McGrath, Stanton emphatically second. That was the finishing order of heat 1, and that's the way they'll line up in this second race. 10 laps again, and remember, points added together to select the top 5. The rest go into a repechage race, and the first 2 from each, well, the 125 and 250cc repechage races, goes through into the grand final. Will it be a McGrath and Stanton 1-2? Can Larry Ward get his revenge? Will Stefan Everts uphold European honour in this second 250cc heat? We're not too far away from seeing in a few moments' time. But Jeremy McGrath has proved to be an absolute sensation in the United States, and he's proving to be equally sensational here in Paris. The crowd can just marvel at his prestigious talent. The 21-year-old Rookie of the Year in the United States. The only man to have been Rookie of the Year and American champion in the first year. I was just looking at that shot of the bespectacled Jeremy McGrath there. 15, Jan Guedard. Will he be the French hero here tonight aboard that Kawasaki? All ready, all prepared for the start of the race. Mike Craig was 19 you saw there, just adjusting his goggles. Less than 15 seconds before the starter will pull the lever to drop the start gate. That's the man who won the first race, Jeremy McGrath. Less than 5 seconds to go now. The gate goes down, the charge is on. Not such a good start from Stanton. He gets muscled aside. Well, they all go for the long route, but round the inside went the talented first race winner, and he's in the lead. Mike Craig is up there on the number 19 bike. So too is Stanton. He also went for that tighter inside line, but it's Jeremy McGrath that leads. Mike Craig in second place. Stanton is third. 11, Stefan Everts is up there too. 17 is Fred Bolley. So the Europeans are represented up there, but Jeremy McGrath's tactics every time is to try and get the whole shots, try and establish a lead so that he's out of everybody's dust and dirt, doesn't get peppered with dirt during the race. And Jeremy McGrath it is that leads. Stanton in second place. Third now is 19 Mike Craig on the American Yamaha. As they rocket into the stadium, forwards and upwards, powering on towards that checkered flag, which will be a grueling, strength-sapping 9 laps away now for Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Stanton and Mike Craig, number 19. And the question we have to ask is, where is Larry Ward, the man that led that first race? 19 is Mike Craig. Past the remote camera, and there was a shot of Larry Ward indeed. There he is on the number 19, and he's on the charge. 11 is Stefan Everts, but Stefan Everts has got some bad news coming, because right behind him is Larry Ward, and Larry Ward will be mad. He knows he's got to finish in the top 5. He was third in the first race, and he won't want to be any worse than that, that's for sure. McGrath and Stanton, 1 and 2. Mike Craig is third. Everts up into third place now. And Ward has got Craig in his sights, and Ward goes through. So Ward up into fourth place, and now up into third place, because a mistake there from Stefan Everts cost him 2 places. Everts, of course, doesn't ride anything like as much Supercross as the Americans, just 1 or 2 events a year. Oh, just look at that, muscling through. Stefan Everts making up for that mistake by getting back past 19 Mike Craig. Everts on the number 11 bike. But Everts got a long way to go if he's to catch the runaway leaders. Just trying to have a quick look to see. Well, Everts was second here in 1990 on a 1:25. In fact, he won 2 evenings in 1990. Well, I didn't think that he'd ever won here at Bercy, but I was proved wrong. Jeremy McGrath has won here at Bercy not too long ago either. Already a victor in 1993, but coming under pressure now from his teammate Jeff Stanton. There absolutely nothing to choose between these two, except that is that Jeremy McGrath has got the advantage of knowing that he beat Jeff Stanton to the American Supercross title this year, and therefore holds the number 1 plate. Reigning American Supercross champion Jeremy McGrath and his teammate Jeff Stanton, and just look how far ahead they are of Larry Ward, who's now up into third place. Brilliant action at the front as McGrath seems to respond to every little challenge from his teammate. He's concentrating on just keeping out front. He probably knows that he doesn't have to win this race, because this, remember, is only a heat. But there is confirmation of the top 6. Polly there in 6th place will be disappointed with not being higher up the order than that. McGrath almost comes to a stop in that corner. He's got a completely different line to most of the others, but it seems very effective as they fly into the stadium. McGrath and Stanton first and second. Larry Ward in the background there on the number 9 machine. Two Honda teammates still in very close company. It would only take the slightest error from Jeremy McGrath to let Jeff Stanton power through and steal that first place. But Stanton is showing no signs whatsoever of actually powering past his teammate, and McGrath is showing no signs whatsoever of making the error that Jeff Stanton would seem to need to get by him. It's still the two Hondas, McGrath from Stanton. McGrath, known as a whole shot specialist, hardly ever beaten into the first corner. Lightning reactions. The 21-year-old Californian, former West Coast 125 champion. Well, Stanton knows what it's like to bear that coveted number 1 on the front and sides of your machine. We're looking at the race leader, at the first race winner, Jeremy McGrath. And it looks as if Stanton has decided to settle for that second place. As I said, he wants to conserve his energy, I suspect now, for the final. And he's perhaps hoping that McGrath will tire himself out. The battle now between 11 Stefan Everts and 19 Mike Craig. That's the fight for 4th place. Stanton in 2nd place. Ward in 3rd position. But is Ward close enough? Well, he could well be. He'll have seen Stanton getting closer, and that'll give him some encouragement. But has he got enough time left in which to haul him in and mount an attack for that 2nd place? Well, the answer's no. It's the last lap. Looks like Jeremy McGrath is heading for victory. And it looks like Jeff Stanton has got to settle for 2nd place. Ward in 3rd spot, as he was in the first race. The two Honda men dominating the proceedings. The Yamaha man, well, just look at the ease and arrogance with which he does that. Oh, absolutely, completely sideways there as he celebrates his 2nd victory. It's a win for Jeremy McGrath. Stanton takes 2nd spot. Ward is 3rd. They're all throwing it sideways over the finish line. Well, it is brilliant entertainment. A completely different branch of the sport to motocross, that's for sure. A debrief there by his mechanics. There's nothing much wrong, he says. And that's the style of the race winner, Jeremy McGrath throwing it sideways. Just look at that. Fantastic action as he flies high in the air to celebrate his second victory in as many races. 100% for Jeremy McGrath. Can he maintain that 100% record and win the final as well? The all-American boy from California is a fearsome talent.
Les boxeurs savent ça depuis un certain temps. Voilà, on lui donne le micro. Est-ce qu'il veut un casque? You want this? Non? It's okay. Jérémy, vous avez été le roi des États-Unis et vous avez manifestement très envie de devenir le roi de Bercy. You have been the king of the United States, and it seems that you want to become the king of Bercy.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I've never won the races here. Last year was my first year on 250, and this year, you know, in the US, I had a great year. I'd just like to finish off my year here.
Oui, effectivement, l'année dernière, c'était la première fois que je cours en 250, donc je n'avais pas remporté de victoire. Mais là, cette année, je pense que c'est possible. J'ai envie de terminer ma saison de la meilleure manière possible.
Ok, pour vous, quelle est j'ai posé la question tout à l'heure à Stanton, quelle est la partie du circuit que vous préférez? What is the part of the track you prefer?
I like the finish line jump. It's real fun, you know, we get real high and you can style.
J'aime bien le saut de
Well, you can certainly tell that he likes that finish line jump.
Ça permet en même temps de faire preuve de certains styles.
Alors, peut-être que dans la
Looks
droite
like
ligne,
real fun to us all. Jeremy McGrath, superbly talented rider, and a double winner here at Bercy.
Peut-être ce soir l'arrivée de notre nouveau héros. Je vous demande en tout cas de lui faire savoir que vous avez aimé ce qu'il fait sur une moto. Jeremy McGrath, et bienvenue en finale. Garçon très cool, même dans ses attitudes. Alors, nous avions prévu un entracte assez long maintenant. Il est évident que nous allons l'écouter pour essayer de
Top five in that race. Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Stanton, 1 and 2. Larry Ward in third place. Stephen Everts takes fourth spot from Mike Craig in fifth place. And in sixth spot, but I don't think he's going to qualify on the number 7 bike. That's Guy Cooper. So qualifying for the final as of right, McGrath and Stanton, Ward and Craig, and Fred Bolly just scraping in there by virtue of his 5th and 7th places in the two heats.
5 pilotes, nous allons qualifier, vous le savez, avec la proclamation dans quelques minutes officielle des résultats par Philippe Debarge. Nous allons donc qualifier les 2 premiers de chaque repêchage, 125 bien sûr, également 250. Ce qui est certain, c'est que
5 into the final as of right, but especially that man there, the man that's dominated completely so far.
On va également demander aux monteurs de Dunlop, les monteurs de Dunlop, de venir rapidement rejoindre le camion car il y a des pilotes qui ont été victimes de crevaisons. Merci.
Now, I know how they do that. That's more how I'd do it. That's Jeff Matasovic. Who will have to go into the repechage along with a lot of others, including the reigning world champion Greg Albertine, because Matasovic didn't amass enough points. Neither did Guy Cooper. And into the repechage they will go. 2 repechages, a 125 and a 250cc will take place to determine 2 riders from each to go forward to the final. Then there's 1 place reserved for the choice of the promoter. We'll be back with the climax of this first evening of the Paris-Bercy Supercross in just a few moments' time, when we'll be seeing all the action. Welcome back for the grand final of the first evening of the Paris-Bercy Supercross of 1993. The qualification has been decided. The men from the 2 repechage races that will go through are from the 125cc category. Phil Lawrence and Pedro Tractor, the world champion. And from the 250cc class, Guy Cooper and Jeff Matasevic. And a Frenchman it is who's the promoter's choice. Yves, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon to him for calling him Yves. Yann Guidard. Yann Guidard it is who goes through to the final. Can Jeremy McGrath make it a clean sweep by winning the final here over the man who won it last year, Jeff Stanton? Larry Ward, well, can he improve upon his times? Will the 125s get in on the act, or will it be a 250cc only benefit? We'll have to wait and see, but we won't have to wait very long because the final is revving up to go. The gate will drop in less than 10 seconds now. Everybody's ready. Will McGrath get the whole shot again? They're in gear. They're on the gas. The gate drops. They're down towards the first corner. And McGrath doesn't make it this time. It's Stanton that gets the whole shot. And there's a faller there already. It's Stanton gets the whole shot from McGrath, but McGrath's up the inside. Larry Ward is in third place as the rest of the field trail in their wake. But it's the two Honda men, and into the lead has gone Jeremy McGrath. They're still side by side. Round the long way, round the outside goes Jeff Stanton, but it's Jeremy McGrath that's got the advantage. Once again, McGrath that leads, Stanton in second place. Larry Ward is in third. 18, a disaster there for Phil Lawrence. The back of the field, one of the repechage winners, but it's McGrath from Stanton. And 9, Larry Ward, first, second and third. Behind Ward is 19, Mike Craig. And those four a long way ahead. But it comes as no surprise that it's the man with the number 1 on the front of his bike that leads this race. McGrath from Stanton and Larry Ward. Mike Craig is behind Ward, but they're all trailing in the wake of the 21-year-old from California, winner of the first 2 heats. That's Larry Ward on the number 9 bike. Mike Craig, Yves Guidard, Yann Guidard. Keep wanting to call him Yves, I'm sorry about that. Yann Guidard and Fred Bolly making up the top 6. Now, will Jeff Stanton this time be able to get on terms with his younger up-and-coming teammate? Well, up-and-coming, he's upped and he's arrived, because it's Jeremy McGrath who won the American Supercross Championship, and it's Jeremy McGrath who's continuing that brilliant form here in Paris. McGrath leads, Stanton in second place. And McGrath has done it the hard way, if you like. He's won both heats. And here he is out front in the final. It's a stop and squirt style that he has. Almost stops it in that corner and then hard on the gas as he accelerates out. But it's effective, there's no doubt about that. Around the berm of that left-hander goes Jeff Stanton. But can he get on terms with the race leader? 19, Mike Craig. Can't seem to do anything to get on terms with the Hondas, who are herring away at the front of the field. McGrath, Stanton, first and second, 1 and 5. The 2 American Honda riders leading the Yamaha man, Larry Ward. And Ward just seems to have no answer to the supremacy of the American Honda riders. It's a brilliant display of Supercross at its very finest. Superb cross, I suppose you could call it, from the 2 Americans. McGrath leads, Stanton in second place. Stanton trying hard, but will he be able to get anywhere near to McGrath well. Between first and fourth, 11.42 seconds. And in this game, that is much too big a gap to make up. Unless either of the leaders makes a huge mistake, and they've shown no signs of it so far in this event. Oh, there's a mistake there from the race leader, Jeremy McGrath. He lost his rhythm for a moment, he slowed up, and it may take him a little while to get it back again. Let's see if Jeff Stanton can capitalise on that error. He came closer in the moments after that slight mistake from Jeremy McGrath, but did he come close enough? It's still McGrath that leads, and still Stanton in second place. There's that style again around that corner, almost coming to a halt, and then hard on the throttle, the right hand back against the stop as they accelerate away. The radical style of these Americans. They're consummate showmen, they play to the crowd all the time. And a good scrap going on there between 15 Jan Guedard and 19 Mike Craig. Another Franco-American battle for fourth place. Larry Ward still established in that third spot, but it's a bit of a lonely time as he watches the two red dots in the distance, which are Stanton in second and the race leader Jeremy McGrath. But this, the battle for fourth place between Mike Craig and Jan Guedard. Craig, Guedard. Craig on the American Yamaha, Guedard for the Kawasaki team, but it's the Hondas who are dominating this event in the shape of McGrath and Stanton. And right on cue, there they appear in that tunnel underneath the banks of seats, which are thronged with people. That's Stanton, that's the style that took it to victory here last year, but it's not good enough this year because it's McGrath that leads. He's got to get those lengths exactly right over the double jump, leading to a tabletop, then a little triple jump. It's a much more technical track this year than it was in 1992. Already they're coming up to lap some riders. That's the top six: McGrath, Stanton, Ward, Craig, Guedard and Bolly. That's the race leader. That's the second place man, and it looks like Stanton has saved all his energy for an assault in the closing stages of this race. 8 laps completed, but has he left it too late? He'll be going all out for it in these closing stages. Phil Lawrence, 18, is out of the race on the sidelines. He was one of the repechage winners. We didn't have time to show you those repechage races. They were won by Lawrence for the 125s and Guy Cooper for the 250s. But these two Americans here had no use for any repechage. They were through by right, through finishing first and second in each of the 2 races, heat races. It's McGrath leading, Stanton in second spot, and Stanton's challenge looks to have failed. He's left it too late, coming up behind for Pedro Tractor there. Tractor not having the best of times. The race leader still the #1 of Jeremy McGrath. The flags being waved to warn slower riders that he's coming up behind them. They'll soon find out. 21 getting the treatment there was Jeff Matasovic. And that is a measure of just how rapid these race leaders are. Pedro Tractor lapped, Matasevic lapped. Matasevic down in 10th place, so they're lapping up to the 10th place man. Stanton now running out of time. It's too late for him to make any impact. Just the formality. Oh, and almost a mistake there from the race leader, but he clung on, as you have to in this sport. Of course, this is a longer race than the heat races. Matasevic again, it's heart-stopping as he comes to a halt there. But then it's hard on the power. Still that battle going on between 19 Mike Craig and Jan Guidard on the number 15 Kawasaki. So Guidard just not close enough at the moment to have any impact. They've battled it out throughout. They had a fight throughout the first race, and they're resuming it here in the final. That's Craig on the number 19 machine. Official factory Yamaha rider with 12 laps gone, 1.47 seconds, the gap between the first two. Oh, and absolutely sideways there over that little jump, that little whoop rather, for Jeff Stanton. Doesn't seem to be able to do anything at all about getting on terms with 2 laps to go with his teammate and race leader Jeremy McGrath. 8, Alessio Chiodi on his 125. He's rather outpaced at the moment. He's getting the blue flag to tell him that the race leaders are coming through. Chiodi takes a look over his shoulder, sees first McGrath come through, then Stanton eventually. Stanton going round the outside to make sure he gets safely past. Number 1 and number 5, McGrath and Stanton. The last lap then for the 2 American rivals from the same team. The 2 Honda men, first and second, as they have been throughout this race, or almost throughout this race, right from the very early stages. McGrath number 1, Stanton number 5. But it's McGrath, the 21-year-old Californian, who looks to be holding all the aces. McGrath still keeping that 5-meter advantage over his rival. 5 yards, I suppose they'd stay in the USA. Well, it's less than that. But oh, and they're absolutely side by side, almost clashing there. What a finish! But it's a win for McGrath. Stanton has to settle for second place in the race that he won last year. A brilliant spectacle throughout. And all down the field, the riders celebrating the finish. Mike Craig finishes ahead of Jan Guidard in the fight for 4th place. Jeremy McGrath wins the Supercross of Paris-Bercy for the first time in his career. The 21-year-old American rode absolutely brilliantly. He was in absolutely superb form. A brilliant win for him. And there was nothing that the second place man, his teammate Jeff Stanton, could do, despite the fact that he got the drop from the start. It was Stanton that got the whole shot, as you can see here. McGrath was in second place. There was a faller on that first corner of this 15-lap final. But once McGrath had taken the lead, he was in command. Larry Ward held third place virtually throughout the race. 22 there was a faller. That's Ryan Hughes. And the winner of both 125cc heats. It doesn't look as if the 125cc men, though, are going to be able really to get on terms with the 250s. 19, Larry Ward. I beg your pardon, 9 is Larry Ward. 19, Mike Craig, the fourth place man in this race. Brilliant action once again from Jeremy McGrath. That's confirmation of the top 8. The first 125 man is Michael Pichon, the local man, who takes that 6th position. But it's a victory for Jeremy McGrath, an American 1-2-3.
Quelques secondes de patience.
Well, that completes the rundown of the 15 men in this race. It's been brilliant entertainment. The crowd have been on the edge of their seats all the way through. Superb action, as always, here in Paris.
Car ce que vous allez pouvoir admirer à mes côtés dans quelques secondes, ça vaut, croyez-le, quelques millions de dollars. Et vous avez compris pourquoi ça valait aussi cher. Et en particulier, la victoire de Jeremy McGrath.
The race winner, the winner of the first part of the Paris-Bercy Supercross. Jeremy McGrath receives the applause, the cheers of the crowd.
Après une bagarre qui aura duré tout le long de cette finale, il n'a pas baissé le rythme une seule seconde. Il y a cru jusqu'à la passerelle d'un homme. Mesdames et messieurs, le salut pour Jeff Stanton.
And yet again, a typically restrained French announcement of Jeff Stanton's runner-up place, and he doesn't look very happy with that runner-up place. He'll be out for his revenge tomorrow. Larry Ward takes 3rd position. Well, we'll be back with more Supercross action from Bercy later in the day.
Simplement une question, Jeremy.